what we need to recognize that nuclear war, nuclear weapons pose perhaps the most frightening challenge to us all. There are 23,000 nuclear weapons, I think, in the world. That is far, far more than the world needs in the worst scenario, but they are there. How are we going to reduce that number? After the Cold War, there was a big reduction, but now there are still countries which hold far more than they could ever need. And here we are sitting really on a terrible, terrible problem, and we have to do something about it, and the sooner we do it, the better. Well, I spent 44 years in the army. Most of that time was during the Cold War, when I think people had concepts of how they would use nuclear weapons, and we were a bipolar world. There was really the United States camp and there was the Russian camp, and they understood how each would react to certain circumstances. And I think in some ways it was very much easier then than it is now, when you have many countries who are really rather independent with nuclear weapons, and other countries, small countries, some of them we don't think are very reliable, who are seeking nuclear weapons. I think it's excellent that we have now got a higher level nuclear group of foreign secretaries, former foreign secretaries, defense ministers, former chiefs of defense staff. We can help because we are a nuclear power still. And I think something is happening in a different way in France and in Germany. And I think the British really do have something to contribute here. After all, we were one of the originals, one of the founders of the non-proliferation treaty. We are members of the Security Council. We are one of the 2 countries in the EU who has nuclear weapons. So I do think that we can make a very important contribution. Of course, we're not as important as Russia, we're not as important as China, not as important as the United States, but that doesn't mean to say we should despair and give up trying, because to have a nuclear-free world is a tremendously important goal, because accidents happen, people make mistakes, people slide into wars, and anything we can do to stop that, the better. I say slide into wars. Look at India and Pakistan, both nuclear weapon countries. They could come to blows. It's quite foreseeable. Pakistan is very nervous about India. Pakistan thinks that it avoided going to war because it had a nuclear weapon in 2001, 2002. Many Pakistanis take that view. They want it for their safety, and we need to try and move things forward. Look at Israel. It would be a disaster, I think, if Israel attack Iran. It would make things much worse. But they have got nuclear weapons, so this problem is alive and well. And also, I think there is a real risk of nuclear weapons, particularly frightening, dirty bombs, falling into the hands of terrorist organizations. And we shouldn't say that could never happen, because I think it could. As far as we're concerned, the British, I think that we're right to have Trident. It's not because we want to use it. It's not because we think we're going to have to use it, because it gives us a very important part. What I do think, however, is that we want to run Trident on for as long as possible. But we want to seek cheaper solutions because it's very expensive. I've always felt as a soldier that actually this is more a weapon for politicians than for the military to use. And I think it's wrong, but it actually comes out of a defense budget. But I would insist, if I was the Prime Minister, that we look very seriously at finding a cheaper solution for the years ahead. I say the years ahead because I honestly feel that we're in for a long haul. This isn't going to happen quickly. Though I'm not despairing, and it's no excuse to give up the pursuit of a nuclear-free world. I think it'll be quite a long time before we see one.